Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our Allied playthrough. In the last episode, we put a bunch of very risky endeavors to the test, and we are currently in the middle of one of the craziest end turns of the whole game. It was so crazy, I actually ended the episode short of the end turn last time because there's a lot that's about to happen. Let's just say that, and without further ado, let's resume where we left off. We do have a battle over here. It looks like the enemies are committing to trying. Oh, they are bombing. Yeah, they are bombing that battleship. They're probably going to kill it. Even with our interceptors, yeah, they're going to kill it. They dealt so much damage there. But our escorts are taking damage, but also in some instances hurting their planes. Ooh. National morale bonuses. I don't even know what just happened there. They got national morale bonuses. It's like it's as if we killed something. God, the interceptors here are going nuts. I'm glad I sent these here. So far, it's working out fantastically. They are bombing the carriers now. Something of important note, but now we have even the land-based interceptors flying out. The enemy air fleet is getting ravaged, which is good. Our carrier here is getting ravaged, which is bad, but it survived. The Dutch East Indies fleet is getting destroyed. I expect nothing more, nothing less. This makes perfect sense to me. Okay, we have enemies trying to bomb the submarine that got away from the light cruiser with no damage. Fighters intercepting, preventing some of the damage. I think that my plan here has worked out exceptionally well. What the fuck? Oh my god, it just sailed right through my destroyer blockade and destroyed a carrier. I had no idea. They take damage when they do this, yet they're just... what the fuck? I had absolutely no idea this was possible. And now we've retreated. Oh my god. We just lost 2 carriers due to something that I'd never... They could just sail right through my ships? What is this bullshit? Alright, well, we have other things happening here. They're still just sailing through trying to get around. We lost 2 carriers here. I really did not expect that. That's going to be a major pain debuff. At least I'm learning the lessons the hard way in this allied campaign. And like against AI and not in PvP and not in the Axis campaign where it's going to be so much harder to win. It's really unfortunate that we just lost 2 carriers. Wow. I had no idea they would just be able to sail through our units like that. That's crazy. I'm really going to have to keep that in mind in the future. That sucks. That sucks a lot. The Japanese are going all out, man. But hopefully the bombers I've moved with all the fighters there will be able to do some decent damage. Enemy destroyers coming down by Port Moresby. Germans sailing right through the submarines. Taking damage as they go. But... ugh. Oh, great. The enemy fleet's now sailing up to the Gulf of Siam, bombing the Chinese. You know, I was thinking, like, oh, maybe we really could use some anti-air defenses here. They don't even get bonuses for bombing land units. They're really trying to bomb in Malay, but we do have anti-air defenses, I believe, on every city there as well, so that's worth something. Ooh, a lot of bad decisions of mine showing up here. A lot of learning happening in this learning campaign. The enemy bombers are going on the offensive. In Greece, our fighters are few fighters we have going and flying sorties like crazy. Coming in handy. Doing a lot better now than they've been doing recently. Enemy bombers up by the USSR. Alright. I'm a little demotivated losing 2 American carriers like that. That's worse than America ever suffered in the Pacific leading up to Midway in terms of total losses. Totally not worth it to defend Hawaii in this instant. Totally not worth it. Would I do that again? Probably not. But now I know. I thought I could be useful. And it may still be. My bombers may get some good damage, and we have ravaged their air fleet at the very least. The bombers will hopefully get some kills to make up for it, especially because Japan cannot replace stuff nearly as quick as we can. The Germans are pushing up. attacking everywhere. So far, not breaking through anywhere, which is good. They're getting stuck in the snow, taking a lot of damage from the Soviets, which is fantastic. If this keeps up, we can get the Soviets up to snuff. And once the Soviets are on the offense is when I will likely start trickling back the MPPs that the UK sends them, because we're going to need to definitely have more UK momentum in the Pacific, especially if I keep fucking up with America. Well, maybe. America's going to have plenty of MPPs to work with as well. Taking a lot of losses that I suspected would happen in the Pacific, and now also on the Metaxas line, which I did not expect to take this much losses on the Metaxas line. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Alright, everything is just moving around now. Not much more happening here. Enemies moving. Mostly mobility things. I don't hear much operating. Enemy submarine in the Atlantic sailing away. Thank God. Their ships do seem to be trying to leave the Pacific area, but I don't think it's in time to avoid my bombers, which could hopefully sink some things of value. The DEI has surrendered. Japan plundered 202 MPPs. What a shame. Osaka mobilizes its home guard. French partisans disrupt supply. That's nice. In Nancy, Dutch troops destroy vital installations before surrendering. That's good. That's good. Ooh, that's real nice. That'll hurt their supply and other things. But they do have the convoy now. It's one thing to keep in mind. Alright. Spotting enemy HQs, enemy fighters, enemy ships. Okay, we can still see them out there. Okay. More intelligence. A new decision. Our commando units are full of volunteers from all services eager for the fight. There are also men from many countries who have joined up, including the Poles, French, Czechs, Belgians, Dutch, Norwegians, even some Germans. Our commandos are to commence operations. They will need some funding for equipment and a proper training camp at Canary in the Scottish Highlands. This will cost us 50 MPPs. Would you like to authorize this expenditure so our commandos can begin the fight back against the Axis? If you say yes, commando raids will start taking place against Axis-occupied Europe. They will target Norway, Belgium, France, and if Spain is an Axis, Coruna. Royal Marines will also attack Bordeaux in 1942, representing the raid of the Cockleshell Heroes. Don't know what any of this is, really, but sure, why not? And that's it. All right, so we have a lot to analyze about what just happened and to respond. So we lost 2 carriers. Those 2 carriers were worth base price about 350 each. I don't know how much they're going to take to bring back. I don't think I can currently reform them. Might take a little bit before that option comes up, but a brand new carrier with all my discounts and stuff is more like 300. So we lost like 700 MPPs worth in those 2 carriers. However, we saved this heavy cruiser, which by itself is worth a base cost of 250. Okay, cool. Not to mention, we have our bombers over here, we have our fighters over here. This took me something like 200, maybe slightly more than 200 MPPs to get every one of these things over here. We're not done. Oh, this was on silent, maybe because it retreated. We're not done. There's still more that we can do here. The enemy fleet is still nearby. We don't have to end this as some sort of massive loss. So there was 2 or 3 carriers over here. I'm not actually sure. But they can't be that far. They just bombed and then left. We have spotted this light cruiser, which didn't really do much fighting. It did attack our sub and accomplish nothing. So this is probably around the edge of the range of where they could have gotten to. So this is good. This means we can get some damage back. They have a heavy cruiser here that's on the verge of death. They have a battleship right in front of us, right in range of our bombers. If there's a carrier out there, it's probably not going to be in range. We don't have long range enough bombers to really hit that far out. But this is good. This is another 250 MPPs. This is a battleship. That's 350 MPPs. Take into account what we save and what we hurt. We have a good chance to more than break even here, despite this plan maybe not being the smartest thing. We'll see. A lot of these planes I was going to operate out here anyway, so a lot of that's not really considerable as a loss for me, especially the bombers and at least one of the fighters. So maybe just two or three, no, just two of the other fighters is about 80 MPPs, 84. So 84 MPPs and then 700 minus 250. So about 530 MPPs we need to kill in order to break even on this. And then hopefully we can get even more. This right here pretty much is that. Actually, yeah, because 350 plus 250. And I'm bad at math, but that sounds like 600 to me. Even if this is all we kill, we would be more than breaking even with this plan. Holy shit. And if we can get even more, okay, so we need to find it. So I'm gonna have to put more ships at risk. I don't think they're gonna stay here if I continue to engage them. I think they want to go away because they're dying. This is also, you gotta remember the fact, I hurt so many of their planes. To reform like 10 planes costs something up to 100 MPPs, so we could potentially take that off the list too. I'm actually very hopeful. Even though this is a lot of losses, we can reform way better than they can. Japan is going to have a hard enough time reinforcing things, but if they have to completely replace them, that's huge, because America, even sending off so much money right now, still came out of this with 512 MPPs. Speaking of, looking at our convoys, the USSR, I think I'm going to pull off the brakes on how much I'm sending to the USSR with the UK. Can I just like, no, I have to hit a button every single time. The reason being, as I kind of discussed earlier, is because I was sending as much as I could because I knew the Soviets would need it. However, the Soviets have 800 MPPs right now. The UK themselves have already sent 300 or 400, I think something like 400, up to 400. Not more, I think. Up to 400 MPPs over to the Soviet Union. And now the Soviets are going to be getting 160 per turn with an investment of 80 from America. That isn't even rateable. I would have sent as much as I've sent with the UK to the USSR one way or another because they needed the up to 400, I think it's something around 350, 360 MPPs that the UK has gotten here to get everything up to snuff. Look how close the front line is to this river, and we're still not completely ready with everything here. But with 800 MPPs, I believe we definitely can get to that level of ready. And especially in the long term, with everything America's sending in, that should help a lot. However, the UK's having a lot of events I didn't expect, and so their involvement pretty much everywhere is being limited. And we need their involvement. We need their involvement because we need them to start putting money into the Pacific and etc. In real life, with the way things went, and if things went the way they went here, we wouldn't even be in Europe right now. We would still be fighting over Africa, I'm pretty sure. So that would have greatly changed how much MPPs we spent in Europe as the UK, and we would have way more ability to spend on Africa and, you know, the Pacific and Asia here. India would probably be assisting in Africa or getting ready to assist in the Pacific if China had not won. But because of the way things are, I do feel that, honestly, if I wanted to, I could still send way more supplies from the UK to the USSR. But right now, the UK's income is being drained so much by all these events and stuff. I've been leaving so many things unattended to, like reforming planes on the carriers, planes in general, and the 2 European fronts that are open, which is way more than the UK would otherwise have been able to contribute at this point. Whereas the USSR, still facing a swarm of units coming, is going to keep benefiting from America directly, whereas the USSR could benefit even more greatly by us being able to take the initiative on these other fronts at this point, since the USSR was not actually invaded in Barbarossa, because it was instead able to join the war on its own terms. I'm hoping this 360 or whatever MPPs I got from the UK to the USSR is enough in these early days which is, it's very, very helpful. I'll tell you that much. I can't adjust how much America's sending. In keeping everything up to snuff and allowing us to get everything ready to push back out, which honestly, it's looking like, yeah, I will be able to push back out just after this winter is done. I don't think this lack of MPPs being sent is going to slow things down at all over here, except it may stop us from purchasing more units. However, I don't think I'm going to need it since I saved the entire front line. Getting them up to snuff is so much cheaper than buying new units would be. And so now I believe the UK needs their MPPs, and they need what America's sending them way more than the USSR is going to need it. I think it was vital, but I think that vital moment is passing or past. I think we have done what we needed to do. I think if we didn't do this at all, we could definitely say goodbye to like this region just completely. But because we invested so heavily, I think we're going to be able to respond in force even down here. And I don't think they're going to be able to keep pushing. And that's what matters the most. I'm being very particular about this. Like, I feel bad about doing this, but it's not the worst thing. I think it should hopefully be a good strategic decision, unlike so many of my other decisions over here in the Pacific recently. And I say that, but this high risk still can have high reward. So first things first, we're going to have to find the enemy carriers. So let's take this Nautilus sub, start sailing. Let's see. Oh, okay, we found one. Enemy contact. They did hurt our sub, unfortunately. Oh, okay, I found both with one sub. The Nautilus sub is probably not happy right now, but I found both. Remember this sub over here that I was going to get back up to strength? Well, I'm thinking it might have a different role here soon. So what is this? What does the white color mean? Can I see if they're in bomber only mode? If they were in bomber only mode, did they bomb last turn? Yeah, I think they did. And that was part of the damage. I think this is their color for bomber only mode. If that's their color for bomber only mode, that means they're not going to fly any sorties to stop me from bombing. Just as I predicted, unfortunately, this enemy carrier is just out of range, but that's okay. There's a fucking battleship here. It looks pretty healthy, so our chances of having defeated it otherwise are slim. But this heavy cruiser doesn't need the same kind of attention that this battleship, for example, would. We can probably use other things like, honestly, I'm sure we could do some damage with our fighters on a heavy cruiser that's this weak, and we have two heavy cruisers to utilize as well, one that I brought and one that I saved. The one that I saved being the New Orleans heavy cruiser. Oh yeah, even though we lost to two carriers, I'm putting the pieces together. I think this is going to be worth it. Now let's start with the ton heavy cruiser. I'm going to strafe it with the 1st Air Force fighters here, and we dealt 1 damage, taken 1 damage. That's fine. A ship's worth way more. Additional strafing doesn't seem like it's going to work too. Okay, the 2nd Air Force fighters actually look like they can do some damage. Let's strafe with them. Probably because they have better supply. We dealt 1 damage. We took none. Now, is it possible for the other Air Force fighters to finish this off? Let's try. Well, we took some damage, but unfortunately we did not deal any more. Now let's take the Somers Destroyer. We're going to attack the ton heavy cruiser. Destroyer against a cruiser, not the best, but if we only lose 1, but we kill this, it's 100% worth the losses. Okay, cool. We killed it. And we took no damage. Oh my god, that's amazing. Okay. Alright, now for this battleship. I don't know how healthy this battleship is. Oh yeah, I also forgot to look. I guess the US's national morale was down to about 90% at the start of the turn here. Japan's was back up to like 54, 55. It's gone down a little bit. We just killed one of their ships. Italy's at about 60%, and Germany is at 102%. India's national morale has faltered a little bit. I wonder why. Even the UK's has faltered down a little bit. Down to 100%. China's gone up because we've sent them an HQ. Yeah, India's went down a little bit. It must be something event related, or it might be all the losses the Allies are suffering in general. Germans have been going down. Yeah, Japan's been skyrocketing back up, but it's still pretty low, which is fine. Okay, now, this battleship. Let's see what we can do. So, I can't even see what kind of damage we are going to do. Okay, let me put this carrier in bomber mode so that we don't escort. I don't want to escort. We have some escorts left on the fighters, so that's good. Let's start with the medium bombers. I guess does it matter who I start with? I guess it really doesn't. Their strikes capability is about the same. I upgraded them with naval weaponry. Let's attack the enemy battleship. We dealt 3 damage. We took 1 damage. Let's attack with the tactical bombers. We dealt 4 damage. Okay. I don't know how much is left on this battleship. Meaning, like, this was a pretty healthy battleship. Their zone of control is completely faltered, so I can actually just sail right up and look. Oh, it's down to 1. Oh, we were so close to just killing it with just that. Well, this is where the other destroyer can come in handy. I remember there being another battleship, so sailing out to go for the carriers could be dangerous. But we just got 250. We're going to guarantee 300 here. Maybe, with the destroyer. Let's sail the destroyer up. Yeah, let's attack with the destroyer. Come on. Yes! We got rid of a battleship. Holy crap. With all the upgrades, the value of that was actually 736. Because you get the amount of national morale as the total value of the opposing ship. Yeah, that's one thing to remember. They have better naval weapons than me. They have better anti-air capabilities than me. They have better ASW up here than me. They have better, like, everything. And yet, okay, we took 2 damage here on the Wainwright destroyer, but that wasn't bad. So, technically speaking, in total value, we're getting way more than I thought. Meaning, even though we just lost 2 carriers, we've already more than broken even, and we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We can see the Akagi carrier here is down to only 1 plane. That's crazy. We killed 9 planes. That's going to take almost 100, or who knows, maybe more, to actually reinforce. 3 planes off the Zuikaku carrier. God, I'm still just thinking about MPPs. If I didn't get so lucky with the Soviets, and then I actually needed to invest so many points from the UK into the USSR, like, we'd be stretched thin. The Pacific would be basically, like, we wouldn't be able to do much here at all. The fronts in Europe, whether these were open or not, the UK wouldn't be able to do as much. They'd be spending themselves thin just on Africa and the Pacific alone. USSR would be spending everything and still getting its ass completely beat. I can't imagine what playing the Allies would be like without getting as lucky or having plans go as well as they've been going right now. That's just stuck in my head. That's just, the whole time I'm working over here, I'm just thinking about that. Thinking about how much more I should chew off here. If I let them escape, they'll have to reinforce, which is going to mean that they will have spent more MPPs with their losses. However, if I let them go, I lose a chance to kill some carriers and stuff. With the Japanese MPPs right now, you know, having lost China, losing Manchuria, Korea, even if they do get the DEI, it's really still very bad for them. Their ability to replenish their navy is so small compared to America. I feel I have to strike out now and as aggressively as possible. So, the biggest threat is going to be the fact that there's probably 1 more battleship. I remember seeing 2 at least. And then there might be a 3rd carrier out here. I know they start with 4, or historically they should have 4. And I know that one of them is over here, the Kaga carrier. I don't remember if there was a second one over here, but there's a chance that they split them in half. I doubt it. There's probably 3 over here. However, it's probably not going to want to commit to an all-out fight like I'm presenting, theoretically. So. We have to prioritize the Zuikaku carrier, because it's the one... God, I feel like I just sound like a text-to-speech, like a Japanese text-to-speech. Because this is the one that has the most strength out of everything that I can see. If this one goes back, it spends a lot more because it's lost a lot more. And it needs upgrades. This one has upgrades. And it has lost a lot less. Japanese national morale is sure to be hurting. Wherever that third carrier is, and I'm almost certain that it's here, I can only hope that it's not as strong or stronger than the Zuikaku carrier, as that's going to affect a lot of what happens here. But if I can cripple the Japanese carrier fleet, hell, I've already taken out a battleship and a cruiser, then it would be worth losing every single one of my starting 3 carriers. If I could kill even 2 of theirs, plus these other capital ships, I can rebuild. They can't. So, let's see. We might have some use for this sub. Let's sail it forward and take a look. Well, maybe not. I'll leave it there for now. We'll get the battleship going forward. Again, I'm going to prioritize this one. So we'll get the battleship going forward. The battleship can do, whoo! Seeing this is so confusing, but we can do a guaranteed 5 damage, although we might take 2 damage. I'm probably going to need more up here to actually deal with what I'm looking at. This won't be enough to destroy the carrier. However, I don't know what's down here. The other carrier might be down here. This is going to enter a zone of control and maybe hurt my movement, but at least I know what's here. Okay, and that can deal 3 damage from where it is. Alright, so let's start with the battleship. We're going to go ahead and attack. Alright, we dealt 5 damage. We even killed a plane. We only took 1 damage. That's better. That's better than it said we'd do. Now, the Tuscaloosa Heavy Cruiser is going to attack next. We dealt 2 damage and killed a plane and made it run away. Okay. Let's send the Tuscaloosa after it just so we keep track of it then. This submarine is going to have to pick a different target. Let's sail you down here. Oh my god, we found the... Oh god, battleship. Battleship. Okay, we found the Congo battleship. This Zuikaku carrier is now down to 3 strength with 5 planes. This is massive. I'll take the New Orleans. Again, we don't know where anything is, so I have to take a risk. Let's go south. Oh, enemy contact. We found the other carrier. And thank God that didn't consume my action points. So here it is. The Zuiho. So 3 out of 4 right here. Okay, this one is weaker. It doesn't look like it's on bomber only, meaning this is open for interceptors. It's also barely upgraded. Oh, okay, this is good. That means we're going after the most valuable ones. This one has not been upgraded nearly as much. Okay, let's take the New Orleans and let's attack the Zuikaku. Come on. Yes! Yes! We got the most valuable one of their carriers, I think, over here. Maybe in total? What are the upgrades on this one? Oh, yeah, in total. Oh, dude, this is so good. Yes! Okay. Okay, we still have more room. Now, we do know for sure... Well, this isn't even a carrier. This is an escort carrier. An escort carrier? Do they have more carriers if that one's an escort? Because they're supposed to have 4 fleet carriers, right? Or am I wrong and it's only 3 fleet carriers and an escort carrier? I guess, I remember them only having like 4 carriers. I'm gonna just hope to God I'm right about that over here. Alright, Lexington, it's primarily up to you now. Let's move this destroyer forward a little bit. Send Lexington up behind it, where we can attack with some fire support if need be. It says we can deal 4 damage with 1 bombing run. It doesn't sound or look like we're gonna be able to kill it with these bombing runs, but we'll do whatever damage we can. Let's bomb it. Okay, no enemy fighters. We dealt the 4 damage promise and killed the final enemy plane. That's good. Let's bomb it again. Another 4 damage dealt. We took 1 damage on our carrier. We've already killed so much that if I lost both of these heavy cruisers, it really wouldn't be an inconvenience compared to how much I've killed. This is not the most efficient way to kill the Japanese fleet, but by wiping it out this early, we can vastly limit their operations while not having to worry as much in general. I'll take the Maryland, and I'm going to send it over here just so it can stay next to the Akagi, maybe project its zone of control and make it a little harder for the Akagi to get away. We do need to be prepared for the enemies to try to move, run away, and maybe even fight us. So I'm going to take the Somers Destroyer, and I'm going to move it just south down here. of the Akagi carrier, trying to mostly keep track of it. I will even send the Wainwright destroyer in that direction. Generally, we need to make sure that they don't know where our units are if we want to have a good chance here. But that battleship can cause some massive damage if it gets up on the carrier. If I move it, hopefully it won't know where my carrier went. So I'm going to move it back around the islands here. And hopefully they won't be able to find it. And they'll focus on the smaller ships instead. Because even if I lost every ship here, maybe excluding the battleship, the amount we've killed is insane. It's way more than we lost in Pearl. It's way more than we lost from the units that we sent here to actually try to counterattack. I don't think this would necessarily work against a player, which I'm glad to have learned. If I could do this again, I probably wouldn't have done it this way. However, we're dealing so much damage that, assuming we don't lose this battleship and every single one of these ships that we've sent, we have broken even, and we have severely hurt the Japanese in a way that we never could have done, maybe for the next year in terms of fighting their navy. Although I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts are on how this battle has gone and is going. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's worth it to kill so much? Like, we're killing at a 2-to-1 ratio right now. Japanese fleet versus our own. Whereas we outproduce them on a 3 or 4-to-1 ratio with just America alone. So do you think that this was worth it? Personally, whereas I wouldn't have done it again, I think it's worth it. But I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. And I'm very interested to see where this goes. I'm quite happy I've been able to turn this situation around. But we are out of time for this episode, so thank you guys very much for watching. And I'll see you on the next one.